Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule, presented by FanDuel. Today is Monday, April 27th. And fellas, Eli Drinkwitz has done it again for the second time in his tenure, the third time since the year 2000. Mizzou has put 6 players in the NFL draft. I was very proud that I brought up that stat, or felt very satisfied I brought up that stat when they ended up having 6 in the 2026 draft. It's interesting. And sorry, I should say the fourth time since the year 2000, because I'm going to start with this the same way I started our little draft preview show. Eli Drinkwitz has now had a draft class with 6 members in it twice. The only other coach to do that for Mizzou, at least maybe it's happened way back in the day. I didn't go as far back and check, but Gary Pinkel also only managed that feat 2 times. So, you know, when you're comparing in my opinion, important thing regarding how good a coach is, they're now on equal footing, having put.
Well, surely with all this talent, they beat Vanderbilt, right?
Fair. It's fair. But 6 players got drafted for Mizzou. I thought that stat was interesting. So we can run them. I'll run through all of them just rapid fire, and we can talk about them as we want. Very excited. I mean, it started off with a bang. The unfortunate piece of this, of course, Zion Young did not get drafted in the first round. Payton, you hinted a lot at it, that you didn't think it would happen. A lot of NFL people didn't seem like they thought it was going to happen. It was sort of like a Luther Burden situation. He slipped. But he got his name called with the 45th overall pick, and then Mizzou didn't have to wait too long to have its college or have its name heard again, because Josiah Trotter went 1 pick later to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 46 after Zion Young went to the Ravens at 45. Sorry, I got distracted for a second because whatever list I copied and pasted this from labeled him as Josh Trotter. And that's not right. And then after that, 2 third rounders as well. Chris McClellan, 77 overall. Keegan Trost, 93. And then Kevin Coleman went in the 5th round, 177 to the Dolphins. Toriano Pride, the last draft pick, 7th round to the Bills. Trost, by the way, to the Rams. McClellan to the Packers. Charter the Bucks. Ravens got Zion Young. Pretty exciting stuff. Peyton, I'll ask you about the first 2, the back-to-back boys, Young to the Buccaneers, or Young to the Ravens, Trotter to the Buccaneers. Young to the Ravens feels especially very, very fun. And I know Adam Schefter tweeted the video of him answering the phone, which was pretty great.
Yeah, Zion Young is someone that kind of already has kind of captivated people, just nationally with his phone call going viral. He had the presser that was pretty fun. He was like, what did he say as he signed off? It was really funny. He had a funny press conference. I'd have to go back and listen for what exactly he said, but I'm not going to speak to the scheme fits of either one of them and either of their defenses. I can't do that. I can hardly do it with my own team's defense. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the X's and O's and how good a fit they're going to be, but I will say Zion Young getting to go and play for Jesse Minter, their first-year defensive-minded head coach, who's been on people's radars for a long time, like going back to his Michigan days. I think that's very fun. I think Zion Young is someone that people are going to really, really fall in love with, just personality-wise. We'll see how well he translates. I'm no expert on how that'll pan out, but I'm very hopeful for Zion Young. He has the right mentality to be good. and certainly one of the leaders of Mizzou's defense last year. I'd like to see him do well. Josiah Trotter, redshirt sophomore, man, that's so crazy seeing a sophomore, like a guy with sophomore in their classification, get drafted. But very well deserved as well. He's someone that I definitely feel like in the couple weeks that follow the draft, when people kind of go back and look at his tape, like they're going to make really long threads about this guy because obviously the splash plays with Josiah Trotter were as fun as any other linebacker we've seen at Mizzou. So, and again, another defensive head coach he gets to work with, Todd Bowles down there. So, very cool spots for both of them. Very cool to see them go back to back. And yeah, it's very well deserved for both of them. I don't think I was surprised that they were the first two guys that got drafted.
I think the order overall made sense. With
one really shocked me, but I think you're going to ask Kenny about that.
Sure, Kenny. Who shocked you? And if you have a Zion or Trotter opinion, with seeing where they landed.
Yeah, I guess we can go to Keegan Trost. We'll talk about Chris McClellan as well. But yeah, the Trost one was surprising to hear his name called on day 2. And I was talking with Jacob Infante last week, our resident NFL draft analyst, and he said there's a world that it happens. He was graded one of the best on his network for Pro Football Network, and they really liked everything about him. You know, one of my favorite things that I always say, like including with the prospects for baseball, football, any sport, when you're out on the field, no one's going to ask for your ID. I mean, how old you are, yeah, there's probably not much upside for a 24-year-old offensive tackle in the SEC, but the skills are there. He was one of the more efficient guys, and we talk about some of these unheralded offensive linemen. For a while there, it was Keegan Trost. Not many people knew his name, coming over from Wake Forest as a transfer, playing that right tackle position, and you're replacing the 7th overall pick the year before. There's big shoes to fill, and I think he filled them right. And it was really cool to see that happen. Probably even cooler that this is the same pick that Austin said St. Louis, right, about the Rams. Wasn't that the same pick?
I thought it was earlier.
Okay, might have been earlier, but I mean, all around it is kind of cool too that he's going to the NFL team that used to be right down the road in the Rams. And I think this just speaks more to Brandon Jones as well, and Jack Abercrombie, the offensive line coaches last year, who brought in a guy that maybe the PFF grades didn't say he was the best in the ACC, but they figured it out, and he ended up being a third-team All-American and received a bunch of honors late in the year.
A guy who's definitely a story to a success story, and kind of why the transfer portal, it feels like, exists. Like it's for players like Keegan Trost who can work their way up, play for Wake Forest for a year, give himself another challenge in the SEC, and turn himself into an NFL draft pick. I kept thinking about what you had said, Kenny, when we were previewing the draft, about what he said, with where he didn't really think that this level was maybe in his reach until, at a certain time last year, and he's able to go out and go get it. He ends up on a really great team. Apparently he's going to be blocking for Ty Simpson in a year. So, not the most shocking pick that the Rams made in the first 2 days of the draft. So that might go Trost might go a little under the radar with who they took in the first round. I've got plenty of opinions on that, but very good addition. And then McClellan Payton, the Florida Mizzou Packers pipeline continues. I was very I have a lot of Packers fans in my life, so I was very quick to realize this and point that out, because a couple of them asked me, like, how good is Chris McClellan, and I was like, just like the last guy you drafted from Mizzou, he also started his career at Florida, like Tyron Hopper. You got another good Mizzou defender in your division, Payton.
Yeah, he's interesting because, he was a great pass rusher in the SEC. He really stepped up and impressed me as a run defender last year as well. I don't know how well he translates again. Certainly has the size, but I don't know, because they got rid of, they're having to reshape their entire D line in Green Bay. Parsons is going to miss the first part of the year. They lost Gary. Kenny Clark obviously was traded for Micah Parsons, so hopefully an opportunity, or maybe not very hopefully anymore. Sorry, Chris, but definitely a chance he could step up and be a pretty early contributor.
I think it was fun that he kept that pipeline going from Florida to Mizzou to the Packers.
Picked in the same round too.
Oh yeah.
I think that one thing you can kind of glean from some of these drafts is you can tell which organizations really like the job that Missouri does in development. 'Cause, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence Missouri has had 2 defenders taken under Drinkwitz and co. to the Packers. The Rams have taken a few different flyers on Mizzou players, one of which we'll even talk about later, besides Trost. Coleman's the second Dolphins receiver to wind up down there.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I called this at a certain point. I thought he was almost destined to go there because of what they did with Theo Wees. Like it felt like they're the Saints or Atlanta because he had a lot of like interview buzz. But yeah, you're totally right. He ends up down there with Theo Wees on adult. I mean, he's gonna get a lot of burn too. You would think. I mean, that team is. I don't think they can afford to experiment or try some guys out, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's another one as well. And then Toriano Pride getting picked up by the Bills. I was hoping he would be able to sneak into the draft. My brain is so not in NFL mode still. I have no idea what the Bills secondary setup looks like there, but, I'm sure I'll be fighting for a roster spot.
I'm going to look this up too. But one thing that I actually noticed while just Kenny had that pulled up there, the 2 highest rated high school guys were the 2 lowest drafted. Obviously, all 6 of these guys were transfers in, but I think that does say a bit about the job Missouri's been able to do to develop some of these guys. I mean, Zion Young was a good player at Michigan State, but he came to Mizzou and blossomed. I think same can be said about McClellan. Same can definitely be said about Trotter. Trost, I mean, that Trost to me definitely seems like Missouri really identifying something they liked because he was not like a supremely hyped up transfer. But I remember that video of like when he committed in the lobby, they had like everyone in the building like applauding and like cheering. Coleman, I mean, it's not really his fault. He didn't like light the stat sheet on fire because Bo Perbula had his limitations, is the nicest way to put it. And Toriano Pride, I mean, kind of a rocky start, really good finish. He's a supreme athlete, but I think that's something that kind of you can point to Missouri doing a good job of is kind of helping these guys at their second or third home really kind of come into their own and blossom and get put into the league in a lot of instances.
Kenny, did you have a thought there with I think it was Coleman?
Not necessarily. This could be there's opportunity maybe a year or two that another St. Mary's product could go in the NFL draft and Jamal Roberts. If he continues to build his stock, we've seen him just upticks the last 2 years and even finding a lot of production in a running back group that has the top running back in the nation, depending on yards and yards after contact and a lot of different statistical categories. So it's good sometimes when you can bring back some of these players and it shows, kind of the focus of Mizzou. I think something to prove is going to be a notion and a mindset they'll always have. It might be something on the outside. That they've kind of pushed away from like the spotlight, and it's now the Mizzou way, trying to re-sign with your team, no matter who you are in that group and come back. But this also just kind of shows you the status of college football now. We talked about it in our draft preview that some GMs, some coaches might have, saw some red flags with guys who transferred a handful of times. But what did that last stop look like? Why is Mizzou producing 6 guys in the NFL draft, all that were transfers? So it just kind of shows you that, Mizzou does have success as, giving these guys, I wouldn't say sometimes a second chance, but boosting that second opportunity that they get, third or fourth in the case of Kevin Coleman.
Bounce back you.
Kenny, I'm sorry if you mentioned this because I was looking up the Bills secondary as you were beginning that. You mentioned the Scott Van Pelt thing, right, in that point?
No.
Oh no.
Go
Well,
ahead.
yeah, like to that point you said about people starting to notice. I mean, that was like a topic on Scott Van Pelt's Sports Center after day 2 of the draft.
Yeah, they had someone on it. And it was funny because it was like, I think you said, like, it feels like Mizzou had a lot of guys drafted. And I wonder how much of that was the back-to-back effect. And it was funny, you know, the hope was that you'd sneak another first rounder in. But yeah, you get 4 guys on day 2. And all of a sudden, you know, you're having a really good draft from a college.
By the way, the Bills secondary, according to our lads, Christian Benford and Maxwell Hairston, those are definitely their top 2. You then have Dorian Strong, Davison Igbinosun, the guy from Ohio State.
Igbinosun, yeah.
Igbinosun. Sorry about that. He was their second rounder, so you'd think Toriano's at least starting behind him. So right now, our lads has him as the 5th corner, which would most certainly make the team, I would think.
Yeah, I would.
But we'll see.
He needed to get drafted by Seattle, which took 4 cornerbacks with its 7 picks. The other thing I was gonna just throw in, going all the way back to the top with Zion Young, was, you know, I don't want to speculate too heavily on this. I don't have any basis or like intel for suggesting this, so I'm not really. But you know, the one thing, you know, that we didn't really mention that, you know, I did read about in the pre-draft stuff with Zion was, you know, of course he's had a couple of off the field things happen with him, and that does impact guys' draft stock. We see it all the time. And so whether or not that played a factor in him sliding, who knows? I have no idea. But that, I say that to say, you know, that made the call that I saw Adam Schefter post that went viral, like, it made me all the more happy to see that from him, because it just felt like, you know, here's a guy who is still getting his opportunity, is clearly like super grateful and has run with, you know, the opportunities he's had with Mizzou, and hopefully he does the same in the pros. That's so, I don't know. That just made me happy to see. You know, it's obviously, you know, you hear so many stories about, you know, off the field things or just certain situations impacting a guy's chance to go be great, you know, at what they do. And, you know, Zion, just like watching all that, watching his presser, like, it seems like he's just super hungry to go do that. I think he went to a good organization for it. So, I don't know, that made me just kind of happy to see, you know, given some of the circumstances there.
In a fun way too, just with that video, Jack. And I don't even know, like, if he blacked out or what. Just like when he was just kept saying, he's like, "I'm ready. I want to go right now." I mean, that just kind of speaks to the same guy. It's like, I think he enters this like flow state. It's a big thing that you hear a lot of linebackers, defensive ends talk about, and even heard like a recruit, a junior in high school, mention that they just kind of enter this flow state. And you go back to the Auburn game, of course, is the prime example of the response he had at the coin toss. I feel like if you go ask him to go back, I don't know if he could repeat anything that he said probably in that moment. And I think it was just another one of those cases that you saw it in that video, with him talking to pretty much every coach that he'll probably be playing under, and then the general manager as well. Is that, I mean, the guy just lives and breathes football, and I think that's exactly what you want. And I just think he's a Raven. I mean, he just feels like that is a perfect spot for him to just thrive in a defense, even with turnover on that staff and Harbaugh and the Raven in Baltimore parting ways. It just feels like that is like the perfect spot for him. You can see him in that black jersey just going to work, and feels like it'll look very similar to what his time at Mizzou.
I think the comp I heard for Zion Young by someone was like he reminded him a little bit of Terrell Suggs, just in like with the kind of energy that he plays with. I think I heard, I'm trying to remember if I'm making this up, and I don't like, again, with linebackers, I don't like off the cuff know how like every linebacker plays, but I thought someone compared Trotter to Devin Lloyd too, which was kind of funny that he ends up on the Buccaneers. So you kind of got the two former current players comps for some of those draftees. That's what we should have done as an exercise, is find a current or former player on all of those teams to compare.
You mean Devin White?
Devin White, not Devin Lloyd.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Devin White. I thought someone I heard made that comparison like before he got picked, and then he ended up on the Bucs. I don't remember who that was, but that's what we should have done. Imagine making you guys have to research like Bills corners to compare Toriano Pride to, or Rams offensive linemen.
Can you guys name 4 Bills corners
Stephon Gilmore.
in
No, not Stephon
the past
Gilmore.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
feel like it's
Sarah
not a
Neal,
team.
Trey White,
Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore, Teron Johnson.
Oh, Teron Johnson was good. All right,
Pretty
there
sure
you go.
Sarah Neal was a corner.
One of them is probably played kind of like a Toronto Pride. So there you go. All right. There's some NFL draft talk. Congrats to all the 6 guys that went. We'll have a couple more to mention in quick hits in terms of the UDFAs. Let's talk a quick hoops thing. I actually have two quick hoops things for you. One of them I kept from you guys because it's not directly Mizzou related, but it's SEC related. So hear me out on that. But I did see this just on a Sunday when we're recording this. Mizzou is on a list for another guard, and I'm just starved to look up some people on KenPom. So Ethan Copeland, per Rising Ballers Network, one of the best available guards in the portal, folks, has heard interest from a number of programs. You can see them on the screen if you're watching on the YouTube. I'm not going to read all of them. Gonzaga is among them, and Mizzou is among them as well. I think like 16 points a game last year. I did look him up, Payton. His assist-to-turnover ratio doesn't look too bad, so I think he passes your first test. So. He
does. Well, I want a guy that's either a good shooter or has good assist-to-turnover ratio. Certainly, this does pass the test, but I was just looking through stat lines for no particular reason. I found this one. Here's one that I found that I thought looked similar. This stat line had 42% made three-pointers, 81% free throw percentage, 19 points a game, and 1 assist to 1.3 turnovers a game. Do you know whose stat line that is?
What was the points per game again?
19.
19. Hey, was that Mizzou?
This was a Mizzou player, but this was not at Mizzou.
Is this Marquez Warwick?
No.
That's a good guess. He's a high volume scorer.
Kurt Lewis? JUCO?
No.
Mari Davis?
No.
Oh, Mari Davis never scored that much. 19 points per game.
If Mari Davis ever shot more than 30% from three.
What were the shooting splits again?
This is from a low major, right?
This was a low major. This guy hit 48.5% of his shots.
I think
41%
this is Jacob Cruz.
This is Jacob Cruz at UT Martin. Oh, man, that's a little close to this guy's stat line, don't you guys think? And they're both bad low majors. That's little concerning, don't you think?
I will say, like, I do get a little apprehensive when the team, like, this is a little gatekeepy. It feels like, because you gotta, it's so hard to like sift through the mid-major players. But when your team is 303rd in KenPom, I'm just like, what were you doing to help that? Why was it that bad? You had to be
starter on 300 in KenPom, like you mentioned. Didn't hit half his shots, hit a similar 3-point clip. The exact same turnovers per game, by the way. Yeah, I'll pass.
They did lose sophomore Jamie Phillips after 15 games, I will say.
I'll keep that in mind.
Maybe that had an impact on it.
What was their record?
They went 12-21.
12-21. Now, I will say
they won their first ASUN conference tournament game. They beat Eastern Kentucky and then lost to Austin Peay.
Fantastic.
Tate McCubbin.
But I will say he did play a few high majors. He played Oklahoma, went 6 for 13, 2 for 8 from deep. Played South Carolina, 3 for 8, 2 for 4 from deep. I thought he played another one, but those two are at least solid.
He played Howard, common opponent.
He could have 2 years of eligibility, too.
How did he do against Howard?
Did you say he has 2 years of eligibility, Kenny?
Yeah, he played at a JUCO before Stetson. So he could have 2 years.
Oh, he did also play against Miami.
2 points, 1 for 2
2 for
shooting
7
against Howard.
from deep, 3 for 9 from the field in a 41-point loss. I don't know about this. Yeah, I don't know, Jim.
I don't know, Jim. I just want to mention him because again, I get a hankering for just looking up some guys on Ken Pom.
Certainly some things you like, but
He actually
red
was
flags.
in the top like 15 in the Sun and steal percentage too.
What a long.
He had 4 steals against Miami, 2 assists to 1 turnover, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Maybe he plays up and down to his competition, which would mean he'd be absolutely garbage in Mizzou's non-con and then good in the league.
Yeah,
because Mizzou doesn't play anybody except for Marquette.
You can tell by a lot of these schools is Marshall and High Point, VCU are the only ones not on the West Coast. He is from Utah, so it kind of explains this kind of connection.
He is not from Utah.
He is. He's from Washington. But he went to high school in Highland, Utah.
Got it.
And then he went to Salt Lake Community College for 2 years. So it kind of shows you the bevy of the Pacific, LMU, USC, Gonzaga, Boise State.
Is this the Keegan Trost of the basketball team?
Wyoming.
Keegan Trost he went to Morgan State first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He graduated the same year of high school as us.
Wow. Keegan Trost.
We unk.
Yeah. Before we go to quick hits, I had a quick thing I wanted to bring up. I was listening to something about this on another podcast, and we have a podcast, and so I'm going to fire off a take for you guys, related to something we talked about a few shows ago when we were talking about the possible scariness of the SEC. I don't believe we haven't mentioned the fact that Thomas Houck is officially coming back to Florida, have we?
I don't know that we did.
I don't think we mentioned that.
But he sure is doing that, unfortunately.
He is, which is unfortunate. Florida's going to be, probably labeled across the board as the best team in the country.
Which I still think it's Michigan, but that's semantics.
I think Michigan, I can get there if Daimara stays in school. I think if he goes, I have to give it to Florida. But that's not what I came to bring the take to you about. I think this is really, really good for both college basketball and the NBA. The fact that a guy like Thomas Houck is coming back. I get it's not great for prospects for other SEC teams, maybe on paper. That said, 0-2 in the last 2 seasons against Mizzou, Florida is. So take that for what you will. But
in the regular season.
In the regular season, thank you. But I think players like him, players like Braylon Mullins, I know there's been some stuff. I actually have to walk back a little bit. There's been some stuff about maybe Nate Ament and Koa Pete coming back to school as well. I think overall for the body of college basketball, this is actually really, really good and a good thing to have these names that everyone knows coming back in the league. I think it makes the sport better. I think having the teams at the top of the sport is still a way better thing and does not make the postseason boring like everyone likes to talk themselves into.
Can I ask? Yeah, I have a question too. You go first, Payton.
Why is it good for the NBA?
I think it's good for the NBA because, for one, like you can make. I thought about the whole thing with injuries, which I think is a two-way street. You can get injured in your first season in the NBA just the same way as you could come back to college and get injured. But I also think with the way the NBA is going, where a lot more of these teams, I think, are valuing these more mature players out of college. I think it's gonna start to raise the standard of some of these NBA rookies. You're always gonna have these 5-star freshmen, the Darian Peterson level players of the world, being like accounting for like at least the first 10 picks of the lottery. But I think if you start to increase the pool in some of these drafts and players don't feel too pressured to capitalize on a really good college season, because they want to go get paid and maximize their value. I think it could end up making drafts better, and you start to have more developed players starting their careers in the NBA. I think the NBA has started to value age a little bit less too. where, teams are now starting to look at, hey, if we have an 18 and a 22-year-old with the same kind of skill set, maybe we want the 22-year-old who, has gone to the NCAA tournament 3 times and has experienced, winning and losing and the ups and downs of a real season with real stakes for a number of years that can help us. I don't know. I think it could maybe raise the floor of the NBA a little bit. That's kind of my opinion.
Can I ask, can I guess where you got this idea from?
Sure.
Was it an interview with the commissioner?
No.
There is a good interview. I thought you were talking about, there was one on Part of My Take where they talked to Adam Silver about this, and he had a very similar point of a lot of these guys just go up, flame out really fast. But if they can continue to develop at the college ranks, get paid like professionals, which they are making money for the school, then it's the best of both worlds. They can come up and they can get in the draft at a more opportune time and don't have to be chasing that money because they will be making it at whatever stop they are before. Sure, it won't be the same amount, but what does your draft outlook look like next year compared to this year? Will you be making more money? Are you projected to go a little bit higher? A lot of factors play into that as well, like you're saying, Jack.
The thing I am way more scared with this, with where we're going with college and being able to give the guys the same amount of money as they'd get if they were the 12th pick in the draft is, these schools aren't paying these guys $8 million up front. It's coming either in installments or 9 to 12 months down the road. What happens when a school makes that promise, a kid comes back and then they can't fulfill that? That's when this all goes, sideways and over the rails. But until there's those kind of guidelines to prevent that, or until something like that happens, I don't blame a school like Florida at all for doing this with Thomas Houck. And I don't blame Thomas Houck, who can also, by the way, rather than being an end of bench guy in the NBA, potentially win a second national championship with Florida, and think of the legacy he'll leave there. And he's going to be, one of the 5 biggest faces in college basketball versus, just another guy in the NBA. You can that's going to be, I think, a real factor for a lot of these guys going forward too, when they make these decisions, because the money is also now equivalent. You start to think about legacy and what you want to leave. I mean, college basketball is huge, just like the NBA is. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing for the sport as a whole. Now, again, unfortunately, we are going to have to now listen as another SEC podcast about Florida just being an absolute wagon next year. But again, 1 and 2, including postseason in the last 3 games.
Yep.
There you go.
Also, we'd be remiss if we don't mention there's I think they're deciding on the 5-for-5 rule, or at least discussing it on Monday when this show comes out. So we might be having quite a discussion depending on what the results are in that on Friday. We're going to record before then. Little peek behind the curtain, but you'll see it Friday.
Caleb Grill. Bring Caleb Grill back.
I really, I'll put it out there. I think it would be cataclysmic to grandfather guys in. I really, really hope they
I agree. I agree. That would be a mess. The only exception I'd take was you can pick one guy, but he has to have played for your school from between the years 2005 and 2015. And you could bring you could be someone like
Jordan Clarkson.
Just like a 35-year-old.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right. There's your off the rails, not off the rails, but wide ranging college basketball landscape discussion for obligatory. But we will move on. We have some more Mizzou stuff, some more NFL draft stuff, and some other fun things as well to discuss in Quick Hits. Okay, Quick Hits time. We'll finish up the show. Kenny, I'll just throw it over to you. I'm not seeing the Daily Dozen on my screen. What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing this. I get screenshots of questions from trivia sometimes for me just to read over later because I don't go to this trivia. It's in a different city. So I get the sports question every single time. So maybe I'll just save this each one. And I thought this one was pretty fun. And I think you guys could get it if you really think hard about it. So let me read through it.
Hard, Payton. Are you good at thinking hard? I've never have been. Okay. All right. It's one of us.
So I'm gonna read through it. Let me finish it, Peyton, and then you guys can try to answer it. Within the
Northern Illinois, go Daddy Bowl.
Oh man, one of the worst things ever.
That
I
is
remember
a real poll, a late night find of the unwritten rule.
Mm-hmm.
That got a reply on our YouTube from someone who just doesn't reply like ever, and that person was like, "Whoa,
wow,
you actually got that,
dude." It's not something I'm overly proud of, but I remember that era of college football.
Within the 5-season span of 1983 to 1987, 4 players who were selected number 1 overall in the NBA draft are now in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, and all 4 played at the position of center. Ralph Sampson and David Robinson are 2 of them. Name the other 2.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Can you say the years again?
Yep. The years are 1983 to 1987.
Is that too late for Moses Malone?
Moses Malone is not one of them.
Is one of these a Mizzou guy?
No.
Damn, I thought maybe Stepanovic was around here.
So Ralph,
but he might not have been first.
What was the other one other than Ralph Sampson and Hakeem?
David Robinson.
Yep, David Robinson.
The Admiral.
Okay. 83 to 87.
Yeah. First overall picks.
83 to 87. Not Bob Lanier wasn't a first overall pick.
The hints are just I can't give you hints.
No, we don't need the hints. We don't need the hints.
Okay.
Chris Webber was years later.
No, Webber was too late. It's not Shaq.
No, not Shaq.
God,
who was good at this time?
I'm trying to think. Boston.
Is Ewing in there? No.
Oh.
Yep, it is Patrick Ewing.
Nice.
Nice job, Peyton.
There we go. Is that it?
That's it. It was just naming those 2.
You carried that.
Peyton is officially the NBA guy on the podcast now with that one.
Lost your job.
There was never a resident NBA guy. We don't gatekeep here.
Oh, we do. You gatekeep the NBA. You won't let us.
What?
The NBA guys.
Okay, that is an insane spin of an.
Every time we talk about the NBA, you kick us out.
Yeah, that's what happens. Because I definitely want to just talk to air for the whole time.
Isn't that radio?
This will be really interesting to revisit in a headline in a couple of minutes. But we have Tigers in the Wild before that, Kenny.
My jersey of the week. I'm on the football side. We got 2 class of 2027 commitments. One of them being more of a surprise here.
Peyton, I didn't know it was Friday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh man,
that's a tough one. Wow.
Zing! Boom!
Zinger.
Hit him, Jack.
Got him.
Yeah. So I got 2 Tigers in the Wild.
Peyton finally logged into the back channel for operating the podcast.
Yeah, I can do stuff like that.
Yeah, one of the worst ideas we've ever had. So yes, my Tigers in the Wild. First one's Keiran Govan, Republic, Missouri safety, 3-star in the class of 2027. This one was coming. It was coming down the pipe, and chose Mizzou over schools like Kansas State, Tennessee, Iowa State. And he's going to stay home. He canceled all his other official visits. He was looking to go to Alabama, which is a school that jumped in late with him as well. But he was a guy that emerged pretty quickly this offseason, added a bunch of offers across late February and into March, was making a ton of visits, even into April with a lot of these spring practices. And safeties coach and Jacob Yoro and defensive coordinator Corey Batum went to see him 2 weekends ago. And just gradually over those 2 weeks, he figured out that Missouri was a place he wanted to be, and announced his commitment at OT7, plays for Midwest Boom. It's on the 7-on-7 circuit, and it's overtime's 7-on-7 league, and playing one of those early games before you get into those playoff brackets and those bigger contests in the summer. And at halftime, his bunch of his teammates were holding up like a big paper, and he went through with a Missouri flag. I posted the video if anyone hasn't seen it, and it was a cool moment for him. I talked to his high school head coach here on Sunday as well, and should have something on Monday about him. But I think he's a really good ball hawk. He had 4 interceptions across his final 3 games of the year. 2 of those returned for touchdowns. So playmaker on both sides of the ball as well, as a receiver. And I mean, I didn't get a quote of him saying this, but it does really fall in that camp of once a Tiger, always a Tiger, because Republic, Missouri is one of those schools that uses the Mizzou logo.
I was just waiting for you to get done to say, looking at his On3 profile is just hilarious with the Mizzou logo right by the.
I was going to say, I guess he really likes his high school logo. But no, the commitment, I encourage anyone that hasn't seen it to find it. It's really cool. Like it in an era where we don't get a whole ton of buzz around high school commitments as much. I thought that was cool. It's probably the first time I'd thought that was a fun commitment to watch, like actual announcement. Since, and this is an unfortunate one to bring up, but Lamont Rogers' commitment ceremony was a very good one a couple of years ago. Didn't work out in the end, but it was a fun one to watch.
Exciting stuff. Who's the other one, Kenny?
The other one, and I got the graphic pulled up because Hayes Fawcett posted this one, but Caleb Green, younger brother of Missouri left tackle Keiran Green, announced his commitment. Chose Mizzou over right here. It says Tulsa, Missouri State. And Liberty was a school as well that he had an official visit scheduled with, but he's really leaning into this like best in Missouri, stay in Missouri mantra. This is a pretty decent class of 2027 for the Show Me State, and there's a good group of guys in there that Missouri could build a lot of its class and the foundation of it through its own backyard. And these are some guys with ties to the program already. And you already got KG Govan, who came in on Saturday, and Caleb Green follows him on Sunday. Pair those guys with two other in-staters who committed on the same day on March 17th. And Jack Brown and Chris Harris Jr., their tight end and wide receiver, respectively, both in the Rivals 300. A good foundation to build within. You're up to 8 pledges now after this weekend, and 4 of those guys are from in-state schools.
Yeah. Caden Green's younger brother.
Like today?
Not today. Yeah, eventually it probably was going to happen. I think Mizzou put a lot of stock into the Under Armour camp that was in St. Louis last month, and you saw some offers go out to guys after seeing those performances, one of them being Evan Villa, who's now in the Rivals 300. He's a cornerback at Ladue in St. Louis, and they liked what they saw from Caleb Green as well. He won linebacker MVP at the Under Armour camp as well.
There you go.
Good stuff. Well, if he can play as well as his older brother did. Who are your Tigers in the Wild, Payton?
My Tiger in the Wild, I got 2 of them here. We'll start with Daylan Carnell, who signed as a UDFA with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mizzou had a caption that kind of sums that up well. Something about that black and gold. Cool to see him there. Obviously, Pittsburgh has a pretty good history with UDFAs. Of course, new coach and everything, but James Harrison, of course, is the very notable one there. We'll see. I hope Daylan Carnell is able to stick. He was a very, very good player for a very large amount of time at Mizzou. So hope he can at least stick around for a bit in the NFL.
Good little addition. Yeah, he doesn't have to. I was going to say keep the merch. It's not as good as Keiran with the logos, but yeah, got the gold aesthetic already. Who's the other Payton?
My other one's going to be Drey Norwood, another Alpogue success. Drey Norwood signing with the Rams. Again, another Tiger who was a pretty good player for a pretty good amount of time. So, and the Rams, they clearly like something Missouri is doing. I mean, that's, of course, drafted Trost. They were the ones that took the flyer on Cody Schrader initially. Now they're bringing in Drey Norwood.
It's because unfortunately the Rams are a smart organization that knows good players when they see them. Unfortunately, yeah, good for Drey Norwood. This is exciting. See how he does out west. And I'm going to keep the theme going with the double Tiger in the Wild because I also have 2. My first Tiger in the Wild is going to be Brian Blitz. For those who might not remember Brian Blitz. I guess we have mostly older viewers, so I think they would. But Brian Blitz, former Mizzou women's soccer coach, he is now going to Jefferson City to be the head boys coach. It's pretty cool. Being coached as a high schooler by a guy who spent 25 years as a SEC college coach would be a pretty exciting first and foremost.
They're in the Big 12 for most of his tenure.
That is true. Fair point. Big 12/SEC coach. But it is pretty cool. I mean, Blitz started with the women's soccer program when they began, and then was in charge for those first 25 seasons. I remember it was a pretty big deal when he left. Inductee into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, and is now going to Jeff City. My personal connection to this: I was a practice squad player for the women's soccer team when Blitz was there. My first year and a half of college. He's yelled at me before I was screwing up a drill once that I was supposed to be like a dummy for, and so I got a Brian Blitz reaming one time in the old football indoor facility.
What
Did
did
he know
he
your
yell
name?
at? What was it? Profanity laden?
No, he was very cool. I don't think he got as mad as he probably would have at an actual player, but no, a couple times I would walk off that field and then like Brady Cook and the football team would come in and start warming up. So we got the turf warm for him. That was how I thought about it. But shout out to Brian Blitz. Gonna carry the Jeff City boys soccer program. And then my other one, we're going to track and field. I'm giving this Tiger in the Wild to myself, and this is why. The Mizzou track team. Why are you shaking your head? You told me this was.
Look at the logo.
Huh? Oh,
Look at the logo.
sorry. Yes, the Drake logo is in the.
Kenny's laughing to himself. It's not funny. It isn't funny at all. Nothing's funny about it.
Mizzou and Drake cross paths again. This is a lot less of a sad fashion, but Mizzou track and field, men's and women's, was at the Drake Relays, which is a very big track meet. This is kind of like, Kenny, you should do it like the DVD where like you're watching it to touch the corner. Now you just closed the share screen. You're doing it into the void. Oh, Payton ended it. I forgot he can do that.
What's your story?
Mizzou track and field is at the Drake Relays, which is a pretty big meet for college and high school track. High school track, it's only Iowa college. It's, a bunch of teams from a bunch of conferences. But they were there, won a couple awards. I was also there. I was covering it for my actual job. So I was taking pictures for the paper. So I took a couple pictures of some of the Mizzou athletes that were like competing, which is pretty fun. They did have 3 winners from a Friday while I was there, including this guy, Dylan Leacock for hurdles. Was getting a bunch of interviews after he won in the media room. Dylan Leacock for hurdles, Lassie Funk in the men's 1500, and Monica Winjiku for the women's 1500, all won on Friday. So congrats to those 3. It was good to see. I didn't give anyone
someone at this university can win something involving Drake.
I didn't give anyone an MIZ. I didn't feel super great.
Well,
about
you
it,
had the reporter cap on. That's good of you.
Yeah, even though I wasn't technically covering them, but was hanging out with some Mizzou athletes over the weekend at the Drake Relays. Very cool event, by the way. I'm
sure it was.
It's a lot of fun. And Kenny hasn't been listening to a word I said. Let's move on to
this killing my wrist. This is like giving me carpal tunnel by doing that. I almost made it to. I don't know if you guys saw that. Almost at the bottom corner.
Almost at the corner.
Yeah.
Let's move on to headlines.
You're rigging.
Kenny, what's your headline?
Headline comes from Syracuse.com. Former Syracuse All-ACC punter signing with Houston Texans after NFL draft. The reason I bring this up is that he wasn't always a former Syracuse All-ACC punter. Thank you, Javon Edmonds, for this story. But Jack Stonehouse, the Texans even announced this, that he signed a UDFA contract. Jack Stonehouse began his career at Missouri, played 2 years with the Tigers before transferring, ended up getting a scholarship with the Orange, and got all ACC punter honors in his time in upstate New York.
I can't believe how nonchalant he's reading this.
I will point out, too, Stephen Hall, Missouri cornerback, also got a UDFA with the Houston Texans.
Kenny, you should be elated about Stonehouse.
Kenny, this should make your week.
Yeah.
You
Should we try
wrote
something?
a story about him in college.
I wrote 2 stories.
Two stories about their bad punter.
Bad punter. He got all ACC
Bad
honors.
punter.
Sucked at Missouri, dude. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be.
Was he
mean
better
now.
than any of the other punters that
Yes,
Mizzou had
absolutely. But again, because he left and got a way better coaching system around him.
Yeah.
Than whatever a certain former.
You can call him bad in college now. He got a pro gig.
He was bad at Missouri. Okay, he was great at Syracuse. He's a great
look at
punter.
this.
Missouri would have loved to have
The
had him.
fourth
Wow.
down quarterback.
Look who doesn't subscribe to their own. Wow. 2 stories about Jack Stonehouse.
Is this the one I did with his cousin? No, it's not.
Didn't you talk to Ryan?
Yeah, this is the one I did with Ryan.
No, I'm not trying to be mean to Jack Stonehouse. He was very good at Syracuse.
Your lead begins like one shining moment. Kenny, go back up to the top. The ball is snapped, and there is Stonehouse.
Kenny, how many of your old
Takes
stories do
3
you think you could read
steps.
through
Sorry.
before you had to stop?
Why?
Because I tried to do it once, and I was kind of getting mad at the way I used to write.
Oh, I think you're talking about mine. That was really funny. It's like I was like, I got through half a year, so they're like, oh god, what is he writing?
These are awful.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, most of it was a red pen to it.
I mean, you also got to. That's where your recruiting route started.
He was getting scoops back in the day, folks. Don't you forget it.
Guys, let me tell you 3 things Kenny loves.
Breaking.
Jack Stonehouse's 2022 Missouri season, Daniel Blood's recruitment, and his dog Bubba. Those are the 3 things he unequivocally loves.
That's it. Nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Nothing else.
Bubba tried
Nothing or no one else.
Did you hear me?
Bubba
No.
tried what?
He tried to eat dirt today. My mom poured water on it when she was gardening, and he tried to eat it.
He said that looks appetizing.
My
Delicious.
weekend.
Probably bobbed his head all funny like.
Bubba's hilarious. We gotta get Bubba on the show.
We need
sometime.
another appearance from Bubba. All right, Peyton, what's your Peyton, what's your headline?
My headline is going to be Houston Rockets will play Game 4 without star Kevin Durant. If Kenny wants to scroll down, I'll give credit to who this is from. Shams Charania. So there you go. Get Knowlton back in here. Oh, wait, I can do this now. I forgot.
No. You're the resident NBA guy, so no, the rest of us
No,
should
I
be
never said, no, it wasn't me that said you only talk to dead air. That was Kenny. Okay. So
I thought the NBA guy on this show just talked to dead air.
the reason I bring this up, we had a debate last show. Well, not really a debate. I was rage baiting Jack into getting him to debate Kevin Durant's legacy. And I'd like to try and do it again because this has been, of all the ridiculous things Kevin Durant has been a part of since his departure from Golden State, I would dare say this is up there for the worst. I don't know how hurt he is seriously, but there's a lot of drama around this, like, regardless. Knowlton, I'm curious. I want to revisit the question about his legacy since Golden State. What do you think his legacy when he retires will be? Because I think it's going to be a lot more checkered than it probably should be.
I mean, yeah, like in the eyes of NBA fans and probably people making all-time lists, it for sure is. I don't know. I don't really know how I can disagree with you. I mean, he was a mercenary. I don't know, but he's also like a 10-time scoring title winner. He's won an MVP and has 2 titles. Like, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I mean, he might go to the Hall of Fame with no one really respecting him, except for, I don't know, maybe me, because I like how he plays. But
all-time, who's better, him or Steph?
Steph.
All right, never mind. There's no debate to be had here. I agree with everything he said.
I mean, I don't know. I like, yeah. And you know what? Actually, I will, I guess, yield to you a little bit with that here, is that Steph built his legacy. Kevin Durant tried to chase his, and I mean, I wouldn't say failed. He did get the titles he was looking for, but has spent the last decade going after more, and he hasn't gotten them, and he's kind of burned a lot of bridges along the way. He hasn't done it in the right way. I'm going to shout out. This is funny you brought this up. I watched a YouTube video today, Peyton. You ready for the title of this video? Kevin Durant is what Machiavelli warned us about, is the title of the YouTube video.
What in the world?
This guy, Jace NBA, you should watch it. I'm going to send it to you. It was so good. I think it like articulates how his legacy was like perfectly. And I think I aligned with like everything he said. I thought it was genius.
That's an intense title.
I'm not going to steal his takes from it, but it was really good. So I'm going to send it to you. Just about how, like, people go after glory and, like, chase this stuff and what they
Better to be
sacrifice.
feared than loved.
Yeah. He explains that part of it, connects to it's great.
That's
It's great.
insane.
So I'm giving him
I'll
a
have to
shout
give
out.
that a view.
Definitely watch it. I couldn't recommend it more. It was awesome. But yeah, this does suck. It just bums me out. Like, I don't know. I will be a Kevin Durant appreciator forever because I like the way he plays basketball, and that's kind of.
I mean, certainly he's a massive part of my growing up. Undeniably one of the best basketball players I've ever watched in my life. And I mean, like, the whole, like, his you the real MVP speech. I mean, how can you not, like, well up watching that?
That was I had a Kevin Durant jersey. I think I bought it after that. Like,
but it's tough because he made that move to Golden State, and really that was like the ultimate heel turn. And then he kind of broke away from that because he didn't like that people were saying that he wasn't the man on that team and everything like that. And he really, in my eyes, has not really proved it.
Well, and I think the other part of it is, like, and I'm stealing it a little bit from the video, admittedly, I thought this was well put. He also never has been able to accept being the villain. He did the villainous move to go get a championship, and then he never he still continued to, like, blab online and get in arguments with people about why he was never the bad guy, instead of just accepting, like, yeah, I made this move to go win stuff and then went out and you know what? I have all these titles. The NBA values rings above all else for legacy, and I have 4 of them with the Warriors, and that's that. And I am one of the greatest players of all time. But instead, I don't think he could ever really accept that he was kind of hated, and that sort of has fed into the rest of his career a little bit. And
I always find, at least in my instance, I respect someone a lot more when they just are kind of own up to what you did, kind of face the facts, like, yeah, all right, I went and chased a ring, not all these other excuses and whatnot. Like, just admit it. And I think a lot more people would probably respect the fact that he did it. But so that's a good way to put it. But certainly, I'll always have a softer spot for just that era of basketball in general, because it was a lot of fun to watch. Looking back, the Cavs, Warriors, all those times in a row, then not what happened to him in that finals, but the Raptors Warriors final was so cathartic. Like, to see someone else be able to kind of topple that dynasty, that was I have a very fond soft spot for that. Like,
and it's why Kawhi Leonard is also, like, has a place,
has the legacy he has,
even though he doesn't have the most, like,
yeah, no,
he's not the most well liked by some people either. So it's very, I don't know. This is why the NBA is fun. But yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant, I think he has one of my favorite quotes of all time, which is when he was going through the draft process, and I don't think he got, like, 1 rep on a bench press, and he just was like, I think he said, I don't need to lift 150 pounds to pick up a basketball, and then became one of the best scorers ever. I always thought that was awesome. But yeah, it's big. I mean, the Rockets aren't going to win the series anyway. Sorry, Kenny.
That's all right. I will point out my only thing on KD. I will say he probably the most iconic shoe of our
Oh my God.
Well. I don't think anything other than the low KDs were that was just like, it was that in elite socks. Like, that's what kids wore in our youth. I mean, that KD was our basketball generation too.
Kobe's had a few with the shoes. LeBron has had a couple, but yeah,
we're not counting Jordans in this discussion.
No, yeah, in our childhood, more so. Jordans are another plane. That's like, they're up there with, like, the group of MLB hats that people just wear, because they're well, not
the one you're wearing, Kenny. Yeah. That one is a nice hat, but that's not a common hat.
I got it today.
It's like the Yankee hat.
Yeah, or a Dodger hat, or some of those. Okay, D. That's good debate, Payton. I want to talk to you more about, because I don't want to completely steal everything from that video, but genuinely, it's a really good description of how his career went. So we'll have to talk more about it when you watch it. My headline this week is a little bit of a throwback. This comes from December like 20th. No, let me see. December 12th, 2020. Can you scroll back up, Kenny? I forgot what the headline said. Missouri holds off late charge, beats number 6 Illinois 81-78. Why are you wondering why I used the headline from December of 2020? Because, folks, if you remember back to good old 2020, Mizzou played Illinois. I remember watching this in my apartment. We were expecting to get blown out. They pulled off the upset, held on. But a player in this game just eclipsed his season high or his career high in scoring last night. And the last game was, or his last highest scoring game was in this matchup. No, it's not Javon Pickett. It's Ayo Dosunmu for Illinois, he dropped a 40 piece for the Timberwolves against the Nuggets. He's been like awesome in the playoffs. Can't imagine what organization would ever let him go for nothing. But I was curious because I was like, what year again was he at Illinois? And I was just looking it up and I was like, oh yeah, he was on the 2020 team. I was like, oh my God, he had 36 in that game. And he was at like 39 or 40 in the fourth quarter of the Timberwolves game. I was like, I wonder if he has scored more since that. And his NBA career high until Saturday night was 35. So he had never scored. And I looked up in the rest of the season for that year for Illinois, he never scored more than 36. That was his previous career high before a playoff game against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets was against Mizzou, and they didn't win. They did beat the Nuggets, so he was successful the second time.
Funny thing about that performance he had against Mizzou, the shot that was most important in that game was him taking a really off-balance three that would have tied it, and it was nowhere close.
Mm-hmm.
It was an awful shot. Take that, Ayo.
It might be the thumbnail of the
I think that is what that video is. I think that might have been what the lead was going to be in this story as well.
I think it's like no one
could stop him until they did.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Kobe had a really good game in this one. It's like the first game I kind of remember being like, Kobe played well. Yeah, 12 on 5 for
12,
8.
Yeah.
It was this game in TCU. I remember he just was like, I was like, because Kenny and I were sitting next to each other for the TCU game, and people did not like that we were not happy with Mark Smith's shooting performance in that game. But Kobe just really played a solid role well, and that's just it's kind of like when I started to fall in love with how Kobe Brown was playing.
God, Mizzou went 5 for 21 from 3 in this game and won it.
Konzo, Martin Ball.
26 of 31 from the line. Jesus.
I don't know if those people were friends with Mark Smith or what, but someone did turn around and say he's a better basketball player than you. And I was like, thank you. Great. I'm
no
glad.
Kidding. I was but he's 3 for 9 today from the field.
Those arguments have never made any sense to me. I just rewatched the scene from Whiplash where he's at the kitchen and he's making fun of his brothers. And they're like, oh, if you hate, Grinnell football so much, why don't you come play with us? It's like, he's a drummer. Why would he? Of course, he's not going to be as good at football as you.
1 for 4 in that game. Yeah, he was not playing well. That game was really fun, I remember, because it was also right after Missouri had just thrown together a random neutral site game with Oregon, and they beat Oregon, too.
Oh, my God. 68, go back up. 68-65 over number 10 Alabama, and then an 80-59 loss.
That was the game. Missouri was up 20 with 10 minutes left in that game, and almost blew it.
And then lost to Ole Miss, Arkansas, Georgia, all unranked, back to back to back.
Was not to be. Oh, that Sharif Cooper, is that who that is?
Sharif Cooper.
He was so you could not have convinced me that kid was not going to be an all NBA player after that game. He got to the line so much.
I did. I was very high on him in that draft almost because of that game. The Auburn game that will forever.
18 for 21 from the free throw line, dude, and it felt like it.
Yeah. The Auburn game that will forever scar me is the 2022 one with Jabari and Walker Kessler. That was just killer.
Yeah.
KD Johnson cheater.
When Konzo was like, no, yeah, we'll get a stop and then score in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to badmouth Konzo. I do like Konzo a lot, but
There were some tough moments in those years.
There were some blah moments down the stretch, but he gave us some good memories too.
All right, Peyton, do your segments. Let's get out of here.
All right, 2019 Washington National of the Week. We're going to go with the reliever route. Trevor Rosenthal today, Kenny. One of I don't know why Kenny's getting so frustrated by that one. Trevor Rosenthal, I remember he was a big deal when he signed with the Nationals, but boy, it did not work. He made 12 appearances with the Nationals, only pitched 6 1/3 innings, 22.74 ERA, walked 21.3 batters per 9, only struck out 7.1. FIP does say he was a little unlucky. His FIP was 10.16. So, Trevor Rosenthal. Kenny, do you have any Trevor Rosenthal thoughts?
Yeah, pulling up an old article about Brad Hand. You remember Brad Hand?
Of course, I remember Brad Hand.
Yeah. So
What did Brad Hand?
The off season before 2021, I was writing stories left and right about relievers, and Trevor Rosenthal was one that I was hoping that the Astros would sign before the 2021 season.
The most fun thing to do as a baseball fan, I think, is just pick relievers for your team to sign and be convinced you're going to have a super bullpen. I always was high on what's his damn name? Shane Green from the Tigers. I always wanted the Cubs to get him. Then they did get him. He pitched twice for the Cubs, had a 0 ERA, and then they got rid of him. That's just kind of how relievers go. But there you go. 2019 Washington National of the Week is going to be Trevor Rosenthal. Do you enjoy that one, Kenny?
Yeah, brought back memories.
Good.
Good
ones, I hope. And here's this one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, how did the dog get all A's on its report card?
There's too many dog things. It's like
bark, woof.
Yeah, paw, bark.
It's
wolf.
not a play on words, really.
It ate it.
Nope.
Ate its homework.
Nope.
I don't know.
How did the dog get all A's on its report card? It was the teacher's pet.
So
there you go.
Yeah, so you could apply that to different animals. I'm just never thinking of that one.
Sarah Lemire, thank you for the joke.
Sarah Lemire does not miss. All right. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. I'm predicting. No, I'm not going to make a prediction. Never mind. I give up. I'm done making predictions. Thank you. I like how quick that you turn it back off. I don't know why you don't just let it play.
I find it funnier.
All right. I thank everybody for watching and listening. We will see you all on Friday.
Cardinals.
I thought he was going to play another sound.